and everyone's talking. This isn't some rookie dinking and dunking checkdowns. He's launching 20-yard lasers downfield on deep dig routes. This isn't about slow mental processing. When the ball is snapped, he's decisive, precise, fearless. A rumor is tearing through the NFL like a lightning bolt, and its epicenter is Cleveland. At first, people laughed it off. A fifth-round rookie taking over the Browns' quarterback room? Absurd. Clickbait. Pure speculation. But the whispers haven't died. In fact, they've grown louder, more insistent by the hour. Something is shifting in Browns camp. Something the insiders all agree on. Sheadur Sanders isn't just flashing potential, he's taking command. Maybe it won't affect things today, but make no mistake, Shadur has been electric. He's magnetic in meetings. One coach even admitted, he made me crack a smile. That's rare, and that's the point. He's young, hungry, and soaking up everything like a sponge, but doing it with charisma, maturity, and an infectious energy that's changing the atmosphere. This wasn't supposed to be his moment. Sanders entered the league with modest expectations. Fifth-round picks aren't handed QB1 opportunities, especially not in a room filled with veterans like Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco, and Flacco Gabriel. But sources inside the building say that blueprint is already unraveling. Coaches are scrambling, players are buzzing, and the front office, they might be trying to shove the toothpaste back in the tube because Sheadur Sanders is suddenly a very real contender for QB1. He's got a good head on his shoulders, said one teammate. Always upbeat, always smiling, that kind of attitude. You want to be around it. You want to go to war with that. Forget the pre-draft narratives, forget the doubts. This kid's superpower isn't just his arm, it's what's happening from the neck up. That's what's fast-tracking his rise. It all started during one of Cleveland's most intense minicamp drills, a full-speed move-the-ball session where every rep counts and every throw is under a microscope. This isn't where rookies shine, but without any formal announcement, Shadur quietly stepped ahead of Gabriel in the rotation. No theatrics, no hesitation. He entered the huddle like he owned it, and then he tore it up. He wasn't playing it safe. He wasn't dumping passes underneath. He was delivering high-velocity strikes over the middle, leading the offense, not surviving, but commanding. One insider was blunt. This wasn't a fluke. This was a statement. Let the numbers talk. Over his career, Shadur has completed more than 71% of his passes. Last season alone, despite enduring 42 sacks, he still managed a staggering 74% completion rate. That's elite production under pressure. But what's really rattling people inside the organization isn't just the throws. It's the mental acuity. Coaches say he's absorbing the playbook at a shocking rate. One assistant reportedly told a colleague he sees it on the whiteboard once, walks through it once, and then executes it live like he's been running it for 5 years. That kind of cognitive velocity is virtually unheard of, especially from a day 3 pick. They're asking him to make a steep climb, earn a roster spot, battle for reps in camp, and possibly seize the starting job. That's a tall order, but in a quarterback room without a clear franchise leader, no Goff, no Stafford, this thing is wide open. If it's truly about letting the best man win, Shadur just might have the most complete toolbox. And if you think this is all media fluff, think again. This is a quarterback who completed 74% of his throws last season. Career average, 71%. Those aren't projections, those are facts. The Sanders surge has begun, and it may be unstoppable. That's despite enduring over 90 sacks across 2 brutal seasons. Week after week, he was under relentless pressure, and yet he remained surgical, threading throws with poise and precision. Now he's working behind an NFL-caliber offensive line with pro-level playmakers, and based on the latest training camp footage, he's shredding NFL defenses in practice. Every leaked clip reveals the same story. Completion, sharp, aggressive strikes, over the middle, on sideline fades, threading tight windows in the red zone. It's all on display. I've been following ESPN Cleveland, and I'm telling you, I don't know what those defensive backs are doing out there. The entire secondary looks lost. Across all the footage, I saw just one interception from the entire quarterback group. That's it. Denzel Ward and the crew better tighten up because Sanders is carving through them like a veteran. And here's where it gets even more interesting. If Kevin Stefanski starts Kenny Pickett, that tells me he feels the pressure of job security. He's playing it safe, trying to win now and preserve his seat. But if he rolls the dice on Sheadur Sanders, that signals trust. patience, a belief that they're building something. I was told long ago by someone in the building, Pickett or Gabriel were expected to battle for QB1. Flacco and Sanders were seen as depth, developmental, backups. But no one expected this. Now everything's shifting. The locker room is rallying behind Sanders. Veteran players are taking notice. All-pro defensive end Myles Garrett didn't hold back when asked about the rookie. He said Sanders walks in every day with a smile and raises the energy in the room. That's not PR fluff. That's leadership recognizing leadership. That's a captain of the team sending a signal. We see what's happening. And as of this week, the coaching staff made it official. Sheadur Sanders has been promoted to first-team reps. This isn't a one-day experiment. This is a real evaluation. They want to see if the rookie, once dismissed as an afterthought, can actually seize the crown. And here's the wild part. It looks like he just might. Gabriel, once considered the sleeper pick, is fading. Joe Flacco might be the most reliable veteran, but that doesn't mean he's the future. And if Pickett or Gabriel start and fall flat, Stefanski and GM Andrew Berry could be out the door. The stakes couldn't be higher. Behind the scenes, it's even messier. The original plan was simple. Bring Sanders along slowly. Keep him buried on the depth chart. Let him develop quietly. But the tape changed everything. Coaches couldn't unsee what they were seeing. Every rep was tight, every throw on time. One front office member reportedly said, "We thought we could stash him. Now we're wondering if we have to start him." Cleveland loses the insurance cash, wrecks its salary cap, and still has to decide. Play him, trade him, or release him. It's a lose-lose labyrinth. How did we get here? A team that once looked primed to ascend is now trapped in a contractual soap opera with no guarantees. Meanwhile, Pickett keeps grinding, Flacco stays composed, Sheadur Sanders and Dillon Gabriel immerse themselves in the playbook, and Watson silently watches, perhaps ready to make one final power move. And if you thought that was today's biggest headline, brace yourself. A wild 3-team trade proposal just hit the internet, and it's got real traction. Bleacher Report's Brent Sobleski proposed a hypothetical blockbuster featuring Jalen Ramsey, one of the decade's elite cornerbacks. And surprisingly, it actually makes sense. Here's the structure. Cleveland sends Greg Newsome 2 to the Bears. The Browns receive left tackle Braxton Jones from Chicago. Cleveland isn't ready for this, not even close. The seismic shock that just erupted could tilt the entire franchise on its axis. And no, this isn't exaggeration. One megastar on a monster deal might be staring down his final days in orange and brown, while a dark horse nobody took seriously is suddenly charging up the depth chart from the shadows. And just wait, there's more! A wild 3-team trade proposal is circulating behind the scenes. The kind of deal that could upend 3 front offices overnight. This isn't rumor mill fluff. This is calculated, high-stakes maneuvering, so strap in, dog pound, we're diving straight into the fire. In 2023, we in Cleveland embarked on an unexpected magic carpet ride with Joe Flacco. He joined the roster in late November, right in the thick of a fierce playoff chase. And what he delivered was nothing short of cinematic. Instant 300-yard games, 4 wins in 5 starts, a veteran gunslinger who reignited a stagnant offense and brought belief back to the dog pound. But that was then. And now the Browns have added Kenny Pickett, drafted Dillon Gabriel, and quietly snagged a 5th-round wild card who's turning the entire league on its head. Ladies and gentlemen, stop what you're doing. Because the NFL landscape just tilted on its axis. A rookie quarterback with a chip the size of Lake Erie just strutted into minicamp and set Cleveland and every defensive coordinator in the league on fire. This isn't media hype. This is Sheadur Sanders, the breakout arm, rewriting playbooks and incinerating scouting reports. Defensive units are scrambling for Tums. By the end of this story, you'll believe what I do. The Browns might have discovered their alpha, and they found him hiding in plain sight in the 5th round. The draft weekend critics laughed, the headlines mocked, Sanders slides, they cried, pundits harped on his entitled demeanor and shaky pocket mechanics, but instead of sulking, Shadur pocketed every snide tweet like fuel and marched into Berea on a mission, turn every doubter into a disciple. Then came the tape, not game tape, practice tape. But every frame told the same story. Completions, touchdowns, clean mechanics, razor-sharp progressions. Every clip featured a young quarterback operating like a seasoned general. Fast forward to day 3 of Brown's minicamp, and the once vocal critics were reduced to stunned silence. Why? Because Sanders was threading back shoulder lasers, dropping feathery bucket throws, and diagnosing blitzes like a 10-year vet. The velocity was eye-popping, yet his passes landed with elegance. Did you see that angle? Fans screamed from behind the fences. Yes, we saw. And so did every defensive coordinator, now wishing Sanders had slipped by. Let's rewind briefly. Flacco at 38 was electric, perhaps the greatest single-month surge in Browns expansion history. But what Sanders is showing in camp might be even more explosive. According to unofficial camp data, Sanders has completed an astonishing 87% of his competitive full-speed reps under live pass rush. For context, even Pro Bowl quarterbacks struggle to match those numbers without pressure. And when the Browns unleashed the 2-minute drill, Sanders delivered perfection. 5 for 5, including a 35-yard dime to Elijah Moore that forced defenders to change direction mid-route. No turnovers, not one tipped pick, no sacks, no panics, just ice-cold execution from a kid they said wasn't ready. Remember, this is the same quarterback who endured 90-plus sacks in 2 years at Colorado. The same guy critics said couldn't play on schedule. Now, his internal clock runs like Swiss engineering, and pass rushers are the ones late to the party. And don't get it twisted, he's a physical phenom too. Think Nolan Ryan with shoulder pads. He'll be throwing fastballs in his 40S with ease. That arm, still a lead. But here's the storm cloud. The Browns' QB room is in chaos. Deshaun Watson's Achilles rehab continues to cloud week 1. In response, the team brought in Flacco, traded for Pickett, drafted Gabriel, and added Sanders in round 5. It sounded like a cautious, layered approach until Sanders drop-kicked the depth chart. Flacco brings experience but lacks viral highlight power. Pickett has guts, but 2 recent practices saw him overthrow a drag route so badly he nearly decapitated a sideline cameraman. Gabriel has finesse, but struggled to hit tight windows once defenses shifted to complex shells. Sanders? He didn't just survive, he dominated. By day 3, coaches were chest-bumping after throws. Receivers? They're asking for reps with Shedeur. His timing is that smooth, that effortless. This isn't a fluke, it's a phenomenon. Let's talk reality. The Browns have started 9 different quarterbacks in the last 2 years, 4 in 2023, 5 the year before. It's a carousel. But this time, there's a rookie with a mission to end the chaos. And now the league is watching. Viral footage just dropped. A high-angle clip showed Sanders unleashing a 50-yard crossbody rope that landed over the wrong shoulder on purpose because he anticipated the DB's hip flip. NFL Network analysts spent an entire segment arguing whether it was Mahomes-esque or merely Rodgers light. Either way, one thing is clear: Cleveland may have stumbled onto its next franchise QB, and the rest of the NFL just got a major wake-up call. ESPN's Mina Kimes didn't need words, just a single fire emoji and the pick number. 144. That's all it took. One emoji to ignite a narrative that's now consuming league offices from coast to coast. Rival GMs, once smug in their draft evaluations, are now whispering regret in back hallways. One anonymous AFC executive confessed to The Athletic that he's launching a full-blown audit of their psychological profiling procedures after watching Sanders dissect defenses like a seasoned surgeon. That once overlooked 5th-round pick? He's now wearing Superman's cape, and the franchises that passed on him are tripping over themselves to rewrite history. The secret offseason, precision, obsession, and total immersion sources close to the Sanders camp reveal a hyper-disciplined, almost militarized offseason. His training regimen read like a Navy SEAL prep manual. Footwork boot camp with 49ers legend Jeff Garcia, and with Gabriel in the mix this year, the only quarterbacks I'd consider starting are Joe Flacco or Kenny Pickett, and honestly, probably Joe. But let's be real, this entire situation is spiraling into a full-blown crisis. If you're head coach Kevin Stefanski or GM Andrew Berry, you're sweating bullets. Because if one of these unproven kids ends up under center come September, it might be your job on the line. You wouldn't believe the storm brewing in Cleveland. This isn't just a rookie backup battle. This is a high-stakes, behind-the-scenes power struggle, a fierce tug-of-war between ownership and coaching staff, between viral hype and football pragmatism. At the epicenter, Sheadur Sanders, a fifth-round pick turned national headline. Buckle up, because this isn't just football anymore. It's political warfare wrapped in a quarterback controversy, and the fallout could reshape the future of the Browns. Personally, I believe starting Sheadur Sanders in Week 1 would be a colossal misstep. Not because he lacks talent, or because he won't go on to have a remarkable career, but because of timing, optics, and precedent. I once asked Andy Reid, arguably the greatest football mind of our era, about starting rookie quarterbacks. His answer? I don't like starting them right away. And history backs him up. Look at the last decade of NFL MVPs. Mahomes, Jackson, Rodgers, Allen, Brady. None of them started Week 1 their rookie season. You have to go back to 2016 and Matt Ryan to find a single MVP who did. That pattern says everything. But here's the twist. The Browns have a date circled in red, Sunday, October 12th. That's when many insiders believe Shedeur will make his debut. Why? Because team owner Jimmy Haslam isn't waiting anymore. Word is, he's laying down the law. He wants his prized rookie under center. Now, just one issue. The Browns are slated to play in London around that time, and the coaching staff is pushing back hard. They don't want Shadur thrown into his NFL debut on a global stage under high-pressure circumstances. They're pleading for one more week, but Haslam isn't known for patience. And that ticking clock is turning a heated debate into a full-on inferno. And here's the most damning stat of all. The Browns' starting quarterbacks over the last 5 years, none of them finished the season as the starter. That's not a fluke. It's a pattern. This isn't about development. It's about control. Haslam has made it abundantly clear Sheadur Sanders is his guy. Stefanski, he tried to avoid the situation altogether. Sources say he drafted Gabriel a round or two earlier than projected to steer clear of the Shedeur narrative entirely. But Haslam saw through it and doubled down. And according to Colin Cowherd, Haslam didn't just suggest Sanders, he demanded it. He bypassed the scouting department, overruled the head coach, and forced the pick. And now he's applying pressure behind closed doors to name Shedeur the Week 1 starter. Sound familiar? It should. Haslam's fingerprints are all over similar headline-hunting moves. Johnny Manziel, Baker Mayfield, Deshaun Watson. Once again, it seems the Browns are chasing clout instead of cohesion. Let's be honest, Shedeur wasn't even supposed to be part of this conversation. Most draft analysts saw him as a developmental QB, clipboard duty, long-term investment, and that puts Stefanski in a lose-lose. Start Pickett or Gabriel and drop games early, fans will be chanting for Sanders by week 3. Start Sanders now and risk rookie struggles? Many now believe the Giants may not have taken issue with Sanders himself, but rather with his lineage, Deion Sanders. The partial clip is being viewed as a calculated attempt to tarnish his character by proximity, but the result? It's only heightened his intrigue. The conversation has shifted from whether he deserves a top-tier draft slot to how masterfully he withstands calculated pressure. He's no longer just a quarterback prospect. He's become a symbol of resilience, of authenticity, and of how quickly narrative manipulation can backfire. Even if the Giants eventually release more context, the visibility they gave him intentionally or not isn't fading anytime soon. And here's the irony. The most fascinating yet most deceptive part of NFL coverage isn't the games, it's the draft. That's where the misinformation runs deepest. Executives lie, narratives are shaped, and every few years a top-tier talent inexplicably free falls. This year it was Sheadur Sanders. In the past, Aaron Rodgers, Dan Marino. Each time, we don't learn the real story until months later. Within the Giants organization, criticism of Sanders is growing more public. But instead of offering a fair football evaluation, the messaging feels like an orchestrated attempt to undermine his character. The aim seems less about accuracy and more about influence. Yet every clipped comment, every vague accusation only draws more attention. What was meant to marginalize Sanders has now turned him into the very underdog fans rally behind. The discourse has evolved. From mechanics and draft grades to transparency, bias, and public accountability, fans, media outlets, and online communities continue pressing the Giants to release the full interview, arguing that only complete context can resolve speculation. But the team's silence has intensified scrutiny, and many now believe the organization grossly misjudged the public's appetite for the truth. Make no mistake, the footage exists. That tape is real, and those who've seen it claim it confirms one thing: Sheadur Sanders didn't do what's been suggested. So if he truly acted unprofessionally, why not prove it? Why withhold it? Even Pittsburgh head coach Mike Tomlin, while praising Sanders' skill set, reportedly passed on him due to lingering caution from past experiences with quarterbacks like Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. In Las Vegas, the Raiders met with Sanders at the NFL Combine. Reports suggest he was enthusiastic about joining the team and impressed them with his quick release and understanding of the West Coast offense. Yet, concerns about his long-term ceiling lingered. Still, hours after that short Giants clip was released, the online timeline exploded. Threads filled with slow-motion analysis, lip-reading attempts, side-by-side clip breakdowns. Journalists contacted league sources, but no one could explain why a franchise would stir this level of controversy only to go silent. Each non-answer intensified the spotlight. But routine passes suddenly became national headlines, and analysts kept coming back to one point: Sanders' command at the line of scrimmage hasn't changed. He's unfazed, calm amid chaos. Hashtags demanding transparency continue to trend. Podcasts lead with his story. Rival teams are quietly reviewing their own interview archives, asking, what would we have done differently? Inside Giants headquarters, what began as a narrative control effort now looks like a PR fire spiraling out of control. And every preseason snap, every press appearance, every sideline glance now feeds a growing public obsession. What are they still hiding? The file remains sealed. Curiosity compounds by the day. Unless someone hits upload or stands at a podium and explains the omissions, this cloud will not lift, just relentless production. But this isn't just about stat padding. Riesland keyed in on something subtle yet vital: dominating first down. It may not be a highlight reel moment, but gaining 4-6 yards on first down transforms everything. It unlocks the playbook, it puts defenses on their heels. And Judkins is built for that trench warfare. Even before fully digesting the Browns playbook, this 21-year-old is going to be manufacturing second and manageable scenarios, the lifeblood of sustained drives. And here's the kicker: Judkins might just be the heir apparent to Nick Chubb. Now hold on. That's not a statement made lightly. Chubb isn't merely a beloved player. He's the soul of Cleveland's offense, the physical manifestation of Browns' grit. The front office may call it premature and pin it on him. Sources say Stefanski's leash is razor thin. If he picks Pickett, it's a survival move. If he chooses Sanders, it's because he's been promised time to develop him. Even the QB room can feel it. Pickett is reportedly frustrated. Flacco remains professional but knows the writing's on the wall. Gabriel, he was supposed to be the wild card. Now he's a spectator. One anonymous staffer put it bluntly: you can feel it, the tension, the uncertainty. Everyone's just waiting for Stefanski to make the call. But let's get real. This isn't about depth charts or politics anymore. This is about momentum, and Sanders owns all of it. He's dominating on the field, earning respect in the meeting rooms, winning hearts in the locker room. Even the media's pivoting. James Jones went on air this week and called Shadur the Browns' best option, not in 2026, but right now. And here's a juicy wrinkle. Word is, the coaching staff wanted Sanders all along, but the front office, under pressure from an impulsive owner, drafted Gabriel 2 rounds earlier just to block a move they feared would get vetoed. So now everyone in Cleveland is quietly asking the question they're not quite ready to say out loud: is Sheadur Sanders already the best quarterback on this roster? And if the answer is yes, how long can the Browns afford to keep him off the field? Because if the camp chatter is true, and everything says it is, then the takeover has already begun. This isn't just a quarterback competition anymore, it's a quarterback revolution. Sheadur Sanders didn't ask for the spotlight, but he earned it, and unless something dramatic shifts in the coming weeks, the Browns may have stumbled upon their franchise quarterback of the future by complete accident. Stay locked in. This story isn't finished. It's just getting started. Thank you guys. See you next video.